Hey there, what is going on? It is Rob from Crypto Bobby, and today I want to talk to you specifically about a new ICO that's coming up, as you can see here, in the next 4 days or so, Blackmoon Crypto. And it's something that I've had on my radar for a little bit of time. They had a big article in TechCrunch actually yesterday on September 6th. And it's a project that I feel pretty positive about from really all of the fundamentals as far as what I usually look for when it comes to investing in an ICO and putting any type of money in an ICO. So this is something that I feel pretty positive about, and I wanted to take the opportunity here to kind of walk through why my investment strategy with ICOs. I've made a couple videos in the past about it, but I want to kind of reiterate what I think about in regards to ICOs, what I've heard from a lot of other guys in the industry, a lot of other people in the industry, what they look at specifically in regards to ICOs, because this has been one of the areas where I've had the most success probably from an investment perspective, whether it's been with Status, whether it's been with Civic, more recently Manitha, MTH has been another great one. So had a lot of success in terms of seeing gains in the 100, 200, 300, 400% from ICOs, whereas it's been a pretty quick and great hit for me from an earnings perspective to reinvest wherever else I might need. So that's been something that I want to talk about specifically in regards to Blackmoon Crypto and why I'm excited about this project moving forward. And now a quick note, and for full transparency here too, as far as this video goes, this is actually a sponsor video. So the folks over at GeForce Investing reached out to me on behalf of the Blackmoon Crypto team. But this is actually a project that I am going to invest in on my own as well, outside of just being a sponsor, outside of having any type of sponsorship or relationship there. And note too that I probably get about 15 to 20 ICO emails a week. So I've gotten probably 100 to 150 emails in regards to ICOs in the last month. This is the only one that I've even responded to an email on, and it's because it's actually a legit project. And I'll talk about why I think it's a legit project. And as always, too, just as much as I'm talking about this, and this is something that I'll likely have some level of investment within. As far as it goes, this isn't necessarily general investment advice. You got to be a big boy and a big girl, and any type of, an ICO is obviously a risky endeavor. So if you are participating in an ICO, it is a very risky endeavor. While I've had really good gains on certain things like Civic and Status and Manitha, I've also got my ass kicked on things like Credo and some other ICOs as well. So just be aware there. This isn't necessarily general financial advice. I'm not a financial expert by any stretch. But let's get into it. What is Blackmoon Crypto, and why do I think this might be a solid ICO for you in the near future, in the next 4 days when it goes live? So there's a couple different reasons, and a lot of it comes down to kind of what I think from a checkbox perspective of when I'm looking at an ICO. There's really 3 or 4 things that appeal to me as far as whether or not you should put your money into it. And with that concerned, there's a couple different things. Number one, is there a legitimate team behind it? Are these experienced executives who have worked at large companies before, or startups, or successful companies that have done this before, essentially? Or are these basically nobodies or random kids in some faraway place that are just throwing together a white paper, have no previous experience in regards to cryptocurrency or in regards to the financial services industry or whatever, and they're just throwing together a white paper in an ICO because it's a cash grab right now? Is that the case? So that's number one. Is there a legit team in place? Number two, what I really like to see is there an existing company, or is this just some no-name entity formed out of nowhere in the past 2 months? Has the company been around for a while? Do they actually have a legit a legit kind of backing? Are they some no-name bucket shop in some faraway land, or have they been around for a while? Do they have relationships with legitimate companies? Are they a legit company? If they've been around for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and they're not just popping up out of this ICO craze, that's another positive sign as well. So that's one of the second things that I look for. Third thing that I typically look for as well is there excitement behind the project? Are they getting real press outside of just this video? Are they getting real press from major news outlets, whether it's CoinDesk, whether it's TechCrunch, whether it's just are they getting press? Is there excitement? Are people talking about this investment? And if they had a pre-sale, has that pre-sale actually been filled out? Or that's, I think, an important part as well. That third portion is there excitement behind the project? And then lastly, is it a hard capped investment? I think this is one that's really important, because if you're an investor and if you're somebody who's putting your money into it, is this ICO, is this company, are they just looking to raise as much money as humanly possible and then go run off to Tahiti, to Thailand, to wherever, to Bora Bora, and chill on their millions? Or are they actually raising a specific amount of money because they know what they're going to do with that money and they have a plan associated with how they're going to utilize that money? So those are really the four key things that I think about when I'm looking at an ICO. And quite frankly, Blackmoon Crypto, not very many, if any, ICOs at all for the most part, check those boxes. And the ICOs that I found that check those boxes tend to do really well when they hit the marketplace, from an investment perspective and from a company perspective as well. So that's why I've decided to, kind of go forward, make this video, discuss why I think Blackmoon Crypto is interesting, because it checks all those boxes for me when I'm looking at initial coin offerings and how to be potentially successful in this space. These are kind of the things that I look at as important. And, really that last point being very, very important, especially from an investment perspective, that hard cap on an investment. Are they trying to, are they raising a year-long ICO like EOS is, or are they, being very conservative about how much they're going to raise like OmiseGo? And there you go. You know the deal with OMG. So let's talk about Blackmoon Crypto now and kind of get out of just my main points regarding ICOs and why I think this one is legit. So first of all, there was a pre-order, actually. It ended back on September 1st. And they've already raised a bit of money, but the ICO itself for Blackmoon Crypto is going to take place in the next four days or so. At this point in time, you can pre-register. You can register your account and everything like that. So I've actually already done that for myself, but I would recommend pre-registering now if you have any interest in participating. But to a couple different points, really what Blackmoon Crypto is it's a direct competitor in a lot of respects to Economy and to Melonport, where it is going to be, as far as things go, you can take a look. I'll include a link obviously to this. But it's going to be tokenized funds. So not necessarily like ETFs, but in some ways it's looking to kind of bridge the real world economy and the crypto economy and make it a lot easier for people to get fiat into the cryptocurrency world, and make it a lot easier for people to actually invest fiat in a diversified cryptocurrency balance without kind of the worry about security and everything like that. If it's somebody new, if it's somebody like you, myself and yourself who's watching this video right now, maybe you're cool storing things on a ledger wallet or on a hardware or Treasure, whatever it might be. There's a lot of people that I think are very uncomfortable with that. So if they're able to buy a tokenized fund that diversifies everything at once, like Blackmoon is trying to do and aiming to do, then that's something I think is important as well. And that's what Blackmoon is looking to accomplish. And to the point as well, so Blackmoon Crypto is part of the Blackmoon Financial Group. And this is one thing that we talked about previously. Is there a company that's been in existence previously? Blackmoon Financial Group has actually been around since 2014. So this isn't just a company that's popping up out of nowhere this isn't a company that's popping up out of nowhere to capitalize on the ICO boom. They are a legitimate company, and that is looking to leverage the financial expertise, the technology, the understanding that they have, to take advantage or to improve upon the underutilization, I think, of tokenized funds right now. So outside of just the token itself, Blackmoon Financial has a marketplace lending as a service. Their executives have experience working with companies like Lending Club and Prosper and investing in companies like that. So they have a marketplace lending as a service that's primarily their main company. They facilitate over $13 million of loans. The actual main company itself does work with a number of different institutional investors. So it's a legit company there in and of itself, which gives me a lot of positivity behind potentially investing in something of this nature. Now, going into the actual kind of crowdfunding, the token sale itself, this is all predetermined and they're very transparent as far as what the crowdfunding is. And at pre-order, basically they're saying at pre-order in the first 48 hours of the distribution period, one BMC token, Blackmoon Crypto token, is going to be worth about $1, and that'll increase by 5% over the 3rd to 7th day and after the 7th day. I wouldn't be surprised if it sells out within the first 48 hours, so I don't know if that kind of increase is actually going to happen or not, but I guess we'll see kind of how that ends up working. But one of the nice things, too, that I really like about Blackmoon Crypto, just going into certain aspects of it, is that the distribution of tokens, 50% of it's actually going to the public, and only 20% of it's really going to the team and to the advisors, and 30% is going to be utilized for a buyback type system, similar to a stock buyback that you're familiar with Fortune 500 companies. So with the 20% going to the teams or to team and advisors, I think that's important because you might see a lot of these ICOs where 50% plus stays with the team. And if you're raising $30 million, $50, $100 million, does the team really need that much money? Probably not. Are they probably driving a Lambo around after that? Maybe. I think this is a nice conservative look at how to basically reasonably raise money during an ICO, which I think is very important. And then I'll just kind of skip down here to, there's a little bit in regards to specifically how these tokens will work, how the funds are going to be set up, because this is going to be similar to Economy with their digital asset arrays or DAAs. They're going to have specific funds and they're going to have specific fund managers, and they're talking about the legal structure behind this, the structure fee, the maintenance fees as well, and kind of the framework and platform. But when we go into kind of a look down here, and this is what I think is very important, the leadership team is solid. And if you look at the founder and the CEO, who's worked at basically the co-founder of a venture capital firm, if you're looking at the co-founder who is also the VP CCO of VK.com, which is a large European social network, and then the actual leadership team itself, these guys are pretty legit from an overall perspective of the backgrounds that they have. It's a legit company, and it's not just guys that have come out of nowhere to capitalize, like I said, on the ICO craze. And then, from an investment perspective or from an advisory perspective, this is important. It's not the end-all, be-all. I think a lot of companies now are just throwing all of their weight on, like, hey, we have a good advisory board. But that's not the only thing that you should really be concerned about when it comes. But I think it's also a good thing that Blackmoon Crypto's advisory board, they have a number of different, I would say, pretty high-profile people that have participated that are on the actual advisory board. Now, outside of that, we can take a look at the actual white paper itself and the roadmap too. But one thing to note too, from a partner's perspective, seeing a big name like Deloitte seeing a big name like a Big Four accounting firm like Deloitte, Flint Capital, basically the founders, the CEOs, kind of former company there, but seeing a big name like Deloitte putting their name onto an ICO, I think is a big vote of confidence and a big vote of faith by a company like Deloitte. So that's always good to see, and I think that's something you want to see. You want to see companies that have a lot to, Deloitte probably doesn't have as much to gain as they do have to risk by putting their name on something of this nature, but they're willing to do that because they'd be confident in that product and in the actual ICO itself. So always good to see something like Deloitte, a Big Four accounting firm on there, whether that's as a partner for auditing purposes, whatever it might be. And the roadmap itself, you can take a look at this. This isn't like we've talked about. This is a company that has been around since 2014. They've started up a different lending marketplace platform. They've also raised money from venture capital. They've raised money from private institutions as well. They actually have a business outside of just this ICO, and they've even participated in a number of different of the conferences lately. I was actually at one of the conferences in New York, the Lend It conference, which is it's basically a lending, peer-to-peer type lending conference. I was there. It's in New York in the Javits Center. Actually saw Blackmoon lending there. I didn't get a chance to talk to him while I was there, but the fact that they're going to these conferences, the fact that they're participating in that gives me a lot of kind of confidence that they understand where they need to be, where they need to market, and how they need to go about conducting business. So that's positive in and of itself. But a couple different things from the ICO from the white paper. So number one, I would absolutely recommend, if you're going to put any money into an ICO ever, read the white paper. Don't be stupid. Read the white paper. Understand what you're putting your money in, what the company is all about, and, give yourself some education there. For the love of God, just do that. But with the ICO itself and the white paper here, so white paper it's quite in depth. I enjoyed it, and it talks in a number of kind of ways as far as the actual vision itself, the value proposition, why that they are in a lot of cases potentially better than something like Economy or Melonport, or why that they think their value proposition, why Blackmoon Crypto believes their value proposition is stronger than Economy or Melonport, the advantages that there are to investors in the space, as well as a very specific roadmap, and then I really like from the use of proceeds section. So we can start with the use of proceeds section. I'll take a look at that real quick, and then we can also look at the actual technology behind it too. But one thing I like to see within this space is, one thing I like to see in this space is, outside of the roadmap, which we saw on the previous page there, it's kind of the same thing, but looking at the actual distribution of these cryptocurrencies, you can get a feel for how this crowdfunding is going to go down, when it will start, and how the contributions can actually take place. But with that being said, the allocation, you get a feel for the allocation, very transparent, which is important because there's not a lot of transparency when it comes to ICOs in this space. And if Blackmoon Crypto here seems to be being as transparent as possible. But what I really like on this is, number one, when we check down to here, so they have a specific price going into the ICO. It's $1 for a pre-order, and then it's $1 within the first 48 hours. So they're not giving a massive discount on pre-orders, which I like, because not everybody can always get in on pre-orders. I'm not in on a pre-order, so it's good to hear that the pre-order is not at a massive discount for everybody else. And then one of the biggest things that I think is, and I talked about this, the biggest thing here, the cap on fundraising. So the cap on funds raised at the distribution is going to be publicly announced before the distribution date. However, the cap will not exceed $30 million. That's huge. That's important. So the cap could potentially be less than $30 million, but it's not going to exceed $30 million. So that's huge, because they're not going to have an uncapped fundraising. They're not just going to raise as much money as possible. And then to that point, going off a little bit more, how are they going to use that money? That's important. A lot of people ask, you guys just raised $30 million. What are you going to do with that $30 million? Blackmoon Crypto is actually giving a cost projection from 2017 all the way to 2022 as far as what they will spend that money on, how they will use that money, revenue projection, or not, mostly just expense projections, not really revenue projections here, but going into really, I think, solid detail from whether it's the IT team, the investment team, if it's accounting and audit, banking, general expenses. That's the type of transparency I like to see from a company that's performing an ICO. You want them to be as transparent as possible. And like they said here, we expect the total cost of the platform development to be about $33 million USD over the next 5 years. They're raising potentially about $30 million via this ICO. So I think that makes sense, and I think that puts them in a good position. If the price of the Blackmoon coin rises, then they're going to have extra money, and they might have more money to spend. But I think that's a really solid move and a solid idea as far as everything goes. Now, looking at things right now, there's one note as far as we could take a look here, just where Blackmoon is fitting into the existing ecosystem. And really, it goes into the level of diversification. And from an investment perspective, I mean, there's venture capital, there's different types of cryptocurrency that's literally pegged to whether it's gold, or if it's gold like digital gold, or if it's the US dollar like Tether, or if there's specific types of traded funds. Blackmoon Crypto is going to be that type of diversified tokenized cryptocurrency fund that will allow multiple asset managers to avoid having to create their own platform, their own technology, and avoid the legal fees aside from that, and launch on Blackmoon. Now, it's very similar, like we've said, or it's similar in a lot of cases to Economy, to Melonport, And I think that's positive in a lot of respects, that it is similar to Economy, it's similar to Melonport, because you're not necessarily looking at something that's trying to be something brand new in the space. It's not trying to be, it's not necessarily trying to create a brand new industry. It's not trying to create a brand new type of product. There's already a demand for this. This is something that I would really like to participate in. The one thing that I will say is that while U.S. investors, United States investors can participate in the ICO, as of right now, you won't actually be able to, once the kind of platform launches, you won't be able to participate while you can hold the tokens. You won't be able to participate in some of the investment opportunities with the token because of some of the regulations from the SEC. That is on the roadmap, though, for the Blackmoon Crypto roadmap, as far as becoming a registered broker-dealer within the United States. It's a few years down the road, but that's definitely on the roadmap for Blackmoon Crypto, so I like to see that. And that's not something that, I mean, as far as Economy goes yet, U.S. investors and digital asset managers can't participate in that, and I'm not sure about Melonport, but I would believe it's the same thing. So I'm positive on the project overall, and there's a couple different reasons too. I mean, the press they're getting right now. So I mean, we can see here. This was yesterday on TechCrunch. Taking a look at it on TechCrunch, Blackmoon ICO to launch the tokenized investment funds, similar to basically everything I've talked about, and mainly the kind of two competitors there, Economy and Melonport, being the big ones at this point in time for them. But seeing this type of press honestly reminded me quite a bit of OmiseGo. So I remember, I read TechCrunch every day. I work in the tech space. I read TechCrunch every day. Take a look at OmiseGo. OmiseGo to raise $19 million in the first cryptocurrency sale. So OMG got this press back in May 30th. And about in regards to its initial coin offering. If you know anything about OMG right now, you know that we can pull it up right now. OMG raised, we'll go back here to OmiseGo, or Omise, raises $25 million in the ICO that bucks the money grabbing trend. So OMG raised, or OmiseGo raised $25 million in their fund, or in their ICO, excuse me. And now that $20 million is now up to about close to $1.3 billion. So I think that type of, the people that buck the money grabbing trend of cryptocurrency ICOs and raise these more moderate ICOs, that's a really good sign. And the fact that Blackmoon is doing that makes me really positive on the project as a whole. And that this type of press from TechCrunch is not easy to come by as well. So that's also, I mean, I think this is opening up the door for better, more popular investors to maybe get into the space as well. And then just going into the case of Economy being one of the fairly large competitors for them. So I'll pull this up now. I mean, if we're looking at Economy as a whole, I'm not saying that this is going to necessarily be as valuable. Maybe it's going to be more valuable. I don't know from right now. It's tough to say that, but Economy presently is worth about $220 million market cap. At one point in time, well exceeded $400 million during the kind of June altcoin spike. So if you're looking at what a company like Blackmoon, what Blackmoon cryptocurrency could potentially be worth, I wouldn't doubt if it's a direct competitor to Economy. Economy has a platform that's kind of live right now. I think somewhat in beta, but it is a functioning platform as of this point in time. But I think Blackmoon Crypto could directly compete and potentially eclipse Economy. I don't know if it will or not. That remains to be seen. But there is the potential there. So if you're looking at not just kind of moonshot, like, oh my God, is it going to be worth $1 billion or a couple $1 billion? Yeah, I'm sure everybody would love that. But realistically speaking, what type of valuation does the biggest competitor in its space have? It's a $220+ million right now. So I think that's something that you want to look and see when you're investing in any type of ICO. Is there a competitor? What's the competitor valued at? Are they going to be better than the competitor? It's up to the Blackmoon team to execute and outperform Economy quicker and with a better product. But if they do, this is the type of valuation you could potentially see and have them potentially eclipse. So that's another reason why overall I am positive on the Blackmoon, Blackmoon ICO as a whole. Outside of that, I just want to, like I said, certainly want to mention and reiterate that I am very much positive on this ICO. It's something that I'm looking to participate in. And this is, from my perspective, and just, like I said, always for full transparency, anytime there is anything, whether it's an affiliate link or anything of that nature, this is a sponsored video from the folks at GeForce Investing by way of Blackmoon. So take that with a grain of salt, but at the same point in time, I haven't made another ICO video before. I've gotten 150 messages. I've gotten 150 emails or so from various ICOs, and this is the only one that I thought is worth your time, worth understanding and taking a look at from an investment perspective. Obviously, like I said before, there is risks in investing in any type of ICO. You could potentially make quite a bit of money. You could also potentially lose quite a bit of money, depending. It's always a risky proposition, and this isn't necessarily specific financial advice. This is just kind of what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. And really, like I said, I look for 4 things when I'm investing in an ICO. Is the team legit? Is there an existing company? Have they been around for a while? Is there excitement behind the project? And then is there a hard cap? Is there a reasonable hard cap on the actual investment in the ICO raise? Blackmoon, for me, hits all 4 of those points, so I'm fairly positive on it, and I'm looking to participate in the ICO, see how that goes. If you do have any questions on that, please let me know. Definitely sound off in the comments. If you'd like to see more videos like this, they definitely don't necessarily have to be sponsored at all, but I'm starting to kind of increase my level of ICO research and looking at how I could potentially benefit more from ICOs in the future. And I'm working with a lot of guys specifically in the New York City space on understanding more of what's going on within these ICOs and kind of how things are moving forward, so that I can be better educated. Because I've said it before, I'll say it again, knowledge in this space right now is like crazy power and it's crazy profit. So that's kind of where my head is at this point in time. Again, if you enjoyed this video, if you have any questions, please let me know. And if you are new to the channel, definitely hit the subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate that. That would be fantastic if you could hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Rob from Crypto Bobby signing out. Peace.